If you've watched any of my recent content lately on YouTube or read any of my posts over on X, then you are probably sick of listening to me talk about QUBIC. I love talking about this project though because I think it is so unique and it has such high potential. I haven't shared my exact price predictions for QUBIC yet, but in this video I'm going to share with you how high I expect QUBIC to go. I'm going to share my realistic expectations, but also some thoughts on where I think this crypto can blow up to. I'll discuss how high I think QUBIC can go in 2024 and 2025, and I'll even share its potential for many years down the line. So before we get started, I know you know, but I just want to reiterate, I'm not a financial advisor and none of this should be taken as financial advice. It is just my opinion and also the opinions I have gathered from some leading thinkers in the crypto world. But again, you got to do your own research and figure things out for yourself as well. Before we talk about price predictions, let's first understand the reason why QUBIC can shoot up very high. So crypto bull runs are generally led by projects that are advancing crypto technology. When you think about the 2017 bull run, you'll most likely think about projects like XRP, IOTA, and Ethereum. When you think about the 2021 bull run, you'll most likely think about projects like Solana and Cardano. Or you might even think of projects like VeChain, which I always think of because that was a really successful one for me during the 2021 bull run. The reasons these projects made such big gains during these bull runs was because smart investors looked at the crypto market and they picked out the projects that were advancing crypto technology. XRP was advancing payments. IOTA brought about DAG technology. Ethereum was advancing smart contracts. Solana and Cardano further advanced smart contracts and fixed the scalability issues that Ethereum was experiencing. And then VeChain advanced supply chain technology and also was bringing in new developments in scalability. The 2024 and 2025 bull run will be led by projects that are advancing crypto technology and by the most important crypto narratives. The leading narratives of this bull run will most likely be, and they're going to be in this order, I think, artificial intelligence will be the most important. Then we've got real world assets, and then we've got DePIN. There will also be a big emphasis on projects that solve the blockchain trilemma. And for anyone who doesn't know, I've talked about this a good bit in recent videos, so I'm just going to give a quick explanation here. But for anyone that doesn't know what the trilemma is, it is the trade-off between the three pillars of blockchain technology, which are security, scalability, and decentralization. And until recently, it was thought that no crypto technology could satisfy all the elements of the trilemma together, and there would always be some sort of trade-off between them. So, for example, if you wanted to have a decentralized platform and that was secure, then it wasn't going to be very scalable. But QUBIC is one of the very few projects that actually solves the trilemma. And this is a new development project that actually solves the trilemma. And it also has a big part to play in the artificial intelligence narrative, which, as we said, is the main narrative, I think, and I think most people would agree, the main narrative that's going to appear in this bull run. QUBIC's also a part of other narratives like decentralized finance and supply chains. So in terms of narrative, QUBIC is already a very bullish play. So QUBIC was created by Sergey Ivancheglo, who already created two super successful projects called NXT and IOTA. And NXT and IOTA both saw legendary returns during the bull runs after they were created. IOTA had an incredible increase in value of 614,000%, while NXT had an increase of 500,000%, which is, doesn't seem as good as IOTA's, but it's still amazing. So this creator knows how to market a project and how to pump the price for a bull run. Now, QUBIC has many other unique factors such as feeless transactions, useful proof of work, it's a green energy platform, it trains AI, and it's building, or at least attempting to build, the first true artificial general intelligence. And it is the fastest crypto technology out there by far. It processed 40 million transactions per second during testing, and the QUBIC team believes that it could even manage 100 million transactions per second in the future. And just one last point here before I get into the price predictions. I think this is the most important point of all. QUBIC is the most marketable crypto project I have ever seen. And marketability is what moves price. So my other big interest in the digital world is marketing, and when I heard about QUBIC, it hit a lot of boxes for me, or ticked a lot of boxes for me. There's a term in marketing and sales that you might have heard me mention before, because I've been mentioning it quite a bit lately, but it's worth hearing again and reiterating here, because I think it's probably one of the most important terms you will ever hear in the area. And that term is sell the sizzle, not the steak. Or in other words, sell what is exciting about a project and not the nitty-gritty details of the project, because generally people just care about what's exciting about the project. They don't, if they're like me, they don't understand the technical nitty-gritty details of the project. And QUBIC, in my opinion, is a marketer's dream because it has so many elements that any person, for example me, can understand without really understanding the nitty-gritty details of how it works, or even without knowing if the project actually works at all. It is just really easy to sell to a real person because it has so many elements that make it stand out from all the other projects that are out there. So some examples of QUBIC's uniqueness and marketability. So it has what's apparently considered a genius visionary creator who's already created 2 super successful projects. It can process 40 million transactions per second, and as I said, they think they can go a lot higher than that as well. It operates out of raw metal. It has feeless transactions. It has something called entropy, which the QUBIC team has said is going to be the new improved form of staking. It's got a deflating supply, and then you can get passive income from smart contracts. It's got AGART, which is creating artificial neural networks to bring around apparently a new age in artificial intelligence. It's decentralizing currency and artificial intelligence. It's not focused on artificial intelligence like a lot of the new projects right now, but it's instead focused on building artificial neural networks to eventually, hopefully, create the first artificial general intelligence. This isn't a blockchain or a DAG. It's a quorum. It isn't classed as a layer 1 blockchain, but this is considered a layer 0 blockchain. And it also appears just to be really cheap to buy to an untrained eye anyway, because of all those zeros. A few €100 or dollars can buy you millions of QUBIC right now. So QUBIC stands out from all the other projects for so many reasons, as I've stated there, and it's just a marketer's dream. And for that reason, it makes the price potential really promising. So anyway, that price potential, let's get into the price potential. So when we look at QUBIC right now, we can see that it has a market cap that has been ranging from 500 million to 700 million over the last month. Now, that is quite a high market cap for a relatively new project. I know that isn't listed on any well-known exchanges, but that market cap is so high because there's so much belief already out there for this project. So I'm going to make 4 predictions here, and the first prediction is going to be the worst case scenario. The second prediction I'm going to make is the probable scenario and what I'm expecting to see. The third prediction will be the Moonboy targets, but actually I'm going to explain how those Moonboy targets, although they probably won't happen, they're still possible and they're still quite realistic. And then the fourth will be just my predictions on the long-term potential of this project, for 5-10 years down the line. So firstly, let's look at the worst case scenario for QUBIC. And I guess that the absolute worst case would be that the project just fails completely and goes to zero in the next 2 years. But I think that's extremely unlikely. I really think that's, 1 in a million chance, or even higher, that this project could go to zero in the next 2 years. And the reason that I think that's unlikely is because of the strong team and community behind this project. But the worst case scenario, or the more realistic worst case scenario, in my opinion, other than obviously QUBIC going to zero, is just that it performs quite poorly and doesn't perform as expected. And by poorly, I mean it just, clears a 1 billion market cap and maybe peaks at best around a 2 to 3 billion market cap. Now that would be a disappointing performance for a project like this, but still we are talking about a return anywhere between seeing your money doubled to seeing it go up by 4 or 5 times. So we're saying here that in the worst case scenario, in my opinion obviously, that if you invest $1,000, you might see a return of something like $2,000, $4,000 or $5,000. Now compare that to any traditional investment and it will blow it out the water. I don't think QUBIC will perform that badly, and I'd be shocked if it did, but you always have to be prepared for the worst with a crypto investment. And we have to also know that there's always a small risk that a project can go to zero, and although that's extremely unlikely, you've got to be prepared for it. But even in the worst case, I think this project is going to at least make you a profit. Okay, so that's the pessimistic predictions out of the way. I don't really think they're going to happen, but it's possible. So now let's move on to what I think are the most realistic predictions. So if QUBIC hits a market cap of 3 billion, then I'd be shocked if it doesn't, climb then from there to make at least, a market cap of around 10 billion. Now, I know there are a whole range of numbers between 3 billion and 10 billion, but I really don't expect this crypto to end up in that range. But again, of course, that is possible, but I'm going to cut over that just for the sake of these predictions that I'm making. But a realistic market cap for me during this bull run would be between 10 billion and 30 billion, and that's pretty much what I'm expecting. So that's a very, very realistic range that I'm expecting to see, and that will give you a return of around 16x to 50x from here. So basically, if you put in $1,000 now, you would expect to get back around $16,000 or $50,000. But I could also see QUBIC going to the 50 billion market cap from here, and I think that is still a very realistic possibility, which would be an 83x from here. So if you put in $1,000, you get back around $83,000. Those are the ranges that I expect QUBIC to fall into. But then what about those moon boy targets? Is 100x possible from here, for example? Well, let's take two of the best performers of the last bull run, which are Solana and Cardano. Now, Solana hit a market cap of 75 billion during the last bull run, and it has hit a market cap of 90 billion already this year, while Cardano hit a market cap of 93 billion during the last bull run. And QUBIC is, in my opinion, a far more revolutionary project than either of these ever were, and I think it's probably going to be a better project than either of those two projects ever were. But that's just my opinion. I could be wrong about that. So it is realistic that QUBIC could potentially hit the same heights that Cardano and Solana hit before. And that would be a multiple of anywhere from 125x to 150x just from where we are now. Which means that if you put $1,000 into QUBIC right now, you're aiming for a return of $125,000 or $150,000. Now, to be honest, I don't really expect QUBIC to hit those heights, but nobody truly expected Cardano or Solana to achieve those sort of numbers in the past either. And I expect that the market cap of all the top 100 cryptos is going to be much higher during this bull run than in previous ones. So it is possible for QUBIC to hit these heights, and it isn't some unrealistic, crazy thing to claim that this could happen. It's just unlikely in this bull run. But, if those two coins could do that sort of return, then it definitely is possible for QUBIC in this bull run. So finally, what do I see as the long-term potential for QUBIC? And this is where things get really difficult because, as we already said, crypto markets are very unpredictable. And I, like you, don't have a crystal ball where I can predict the future. And I know a lot of people out there do claim to predict the future, but I'm definitely not claiming to predict anything accurately. But, within a 2-year time frame or within a bull run, it's a lot easier to predict things. But as your time frame goes out, it gets a lot more difficult. But if we are to assume that the general market will continue with the same trend that has followed since Bitcoin created, which was bull markets that are based around the Bitcoin halving every 4 years, then we would expect the true bull run to be only starting now. Now, I know that Bitcoin has already surpassed its all-time high this year, and we're clearly in a bull run already, but that bull run seems to be driven by the Bitcoin ETF approval. So now, once the Bitcoin halving happens, we would expect that the market goes parabolic and you will see a Bitcoin that is worth something like 150,000 or even much more. And the altcoins will probably go to places that we've never seen before, which is why QUBIC could potentially go incredibly high in this run. And then we would expect that the bull run will carry on through 2024 and peak around Q1 or Q2 of 2025. And then we would see the market stagnate through 2025, and then there would be massive FUD during 2026 and 2027 before we start gearing up for the next bull run in 2028. The FUD will most likely and I mean by the FUD, I mean the FUD that will come in 2026 and 2027, it would most likely come from mass regulatory clampdowns and other events like major exchange shutdowns. And then in 2028, we would start seeing altcoin ETFs being approved, more crypto utility, regulatory clarity, and that will bring a whole new level to the crypto markets as we enter an even bigger bull run. And that what I'm explaining here is just how manipulated these markets are. It's generally we're following a plan, but of course that's if the traditional path is followed, which that won't necessarily happen. But I do think it's probably what most likely will happen. If you look at history, that's what's happened and what you would expect to happen. But there is another vein of thought out here, which is that we are currently in the mid phases of a bull run, and the market peak will be around quarter three this year, with Bitcoin topping out under $100,000. And the whole idea behind that is that people are expecting this market to go the exact same as runs have gone in the past and cycles have gone in the past. And as they're investing more money, smart money's getting out, and then the market's going to crash early. Personally, I don't see that happening, just because I think the market will go much higher from here, and into 2025 I think it's going to go as well, because the market euphoria, in my opinion, isn't even close yet. But nothing's guaranteed. We'll just have to see how things will go. So how will QUBIC perform after the 2024-2025 bull run? Well, it's most likely going to fall with the rest of the market at the end of this bull run. And for that reason, I want to sell most of my QUBIC, before the end of this bull run. And I'm aiming for, around 30 billion market cap. And once it hits around that market cap, I'm going to sell most of my QUBIC. And then maybe once its value drops in the future, I might buy some again. But once QUBIC's value drops, its survival then is going to depend on its utility. And if QUBIC can achieve what it's set out to do, and if it has an ecosystem built on top of it with scalable transactions, and if Agart is working as planned and is on the road to developing an AGI, then QUBIC has a very strong chance of becoming a top 5 crypto, which means it could be a crypto with a strong enough name to get approved for an ETF in the future. And then it would have massive growth just due to its utility, and as it enters another bull run, it could go to unimaginable heights. Sergey Ivancheglo has stated that if Agart works, you could see QUBIC at $1 trillion market cap. And that's a point where you're talking about a growth of 1,600x from here. So with just $1,000 invested, you would be a millionaire and close to your second million. Now, of course, that seems unlikely, and it definitely is the moon dream there and a moon boy target, but it is possible and realistically possible in some respects. Bitcoin has already crossed that market cap. I'm sure the day will come where Bitcoin is over a 10 trillion market cap and probably much higher. People would have laughed at you 10 years ago if you said that Bitcoin would have $1 trillion market cap, but now it's the norm. And as time goes on, the whole crypto market is rising and rising, and just the top 10 cryptos are probably going to start crossing a $1 trillion market cap eventually. So, a $1 trillion market cap for a QUBIC is possible, even if it is unlikely. But the other side of things is that QUBIC will perform like all of Sergey Ivancheglo's projects so far. And that's how they've all performed, is that they pump very high during one bull run, and then they never return to those heights after. And that is the reason why I want to get all out of it during this run. And as I said, I'm aiming for that market cap to hit around 30 billion, and then I'll be cashing out. But I'll also adjust that target as the market progresses, because, if QUBIC jumped to a 10 billion market cap by next month, I'd probably reconsider my targets. But also, if it's only a 2 billion market cap by next September, I'll reconsider my targets too, and I might even sell out at that price. Anyway, if you want more details of why you should be super bullish in QUBIC, check the video that's on screen right now, and I'll see you on the outside.